today we're going to finish up chapter 2. And if you remember, for the last couple of sessions, Paul has been really just taking it to the Jews. And he's putting them in the same boat as everybody else. And the verse we ended on yesterday, it's a pretty strong accusation against these religious Jews. God says in verse 24, "For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you, as it is written." So let's go on to verse 25. "For circumcision is indeed profitable if you keep the law, but if you are a breaker of the law, your circumcision has become uncircumcision." What does that mean? First of all, circumcision was an outward sign for the Jews that identified their covenant with God. It was a mark, a cutting away of the flesh, a sign on the outside that identified that they were God's people. You might remember all the way back to Abraham, about 2,000 years before Christ. You remember the story that God comes to Abraham and says, "Abraham, I'm going to make you into a great nation." This is in Genesis 12. "I'm going to make you and your descendants my own special people, a special treasure out of everybody else on the earth." And Abraham says, "Man, that sounds fantastic." And God says, "I want to give you a sign." And Abraham says, "What kind of sign? Like a crown of gold on my head, or a nice logo for my tunic?" And God says, "No, it's not that kind of sign. It's a sign of circumcision." And probably Abraham was hoping for a new set of sandals or something. But it was circumcision that was the sign of the covenant. It did not impart righteousness. And that's really, really important to understand. Circumcision was an outward sign of something that was supposed to be true on the inside. It's kind of like when we're baptized. It doesn't save us. It's just a sign that something has already happened on the inside. It's an inside job. And if the inside job isn't there, then the outward sign, in this case circumcision, it doesn't matter at all. That's what Paul's saying. Verse 26, "Therefore, if an uncircumcised man keeps the righteous requirements of the law, will not his uncircumcision be counted as circumcision? And will not the physically uncircumcised, if he fulfills the law, judge you, who even with your written code and circumcision are a transgressor of the law?" Paul's saying, just because you look like you're a good Jew on the outside, it doesn't automatically mean that you're right with God on the inside. It's not the outward things, all the ceremonies, the big Bible you carry around. It's the inside that really matters. And Jesus taught about this just all the time. You remember the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus said, it's not enough just to keep yourself from murdering on the outside. That's not following God's law from the heart. What good is having the outside looking good if on the inside you're angry with your brother, full of rage, full of unforgiveness? You have the heart of a murderer, Jesus said. God looks at the heart. God looks on the inside. That's what really matters to God. And Paul's saying, you've got the outside looking real good, but how's the inside doing? Because that's what matters. Verse 28, "For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly." Now Paul's really ruffling some feathers right now. "Nor circumcision that which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew who is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, not in the letter, whose praise is not from men, but from God." Now, some people think Paul's doing a nice wordplay here because the word Jew can mean praise or somebody who's worthy of praise. Who is a Jew who is worthy of praise? Not somebody who's trying to impress people. They have right hearts. That's who is worthy of praise. Well, the bottom line is a Jew cannot claim to be right with God just because he's a Jew. What is Paul doing? Again, he's leveling the playing field. He's saying there is none righteous. No, not even one. Not the heathen, not the people living it up, shooting it up. Definitely not the moral people, the good old boys, and not even the religious folks, the Jews sitting on their high horse. Everyone falls way short. Everybody. And I'll tell you, even as I'm talking about this, it's so convicting because sometimes I know that I can be more concerned about how people perceive me and, doing all the right things on the outside than being right on the inside. So what are we to do? Paul is building his case line by line, brick by brick. And we're going to come to a solution that is just fascinating, it's liberating, and it really is good news. And I'll see you next time as we continue our verse-by-verse study on this amazing book called Romans.